Although I'm a huge fan of the series, I will admit that The Expanse is a very tough show to sum up. It's essentially a sci-fi drama that deals with politics and gravity and frustrations between factions that are scattered throughout a solar system. There is some alien technology contact in here, an idea that there is this sentient kind of intelligence that is messing with humanity, and it's about the human race kind of transitioning to something new and all of the ugliness that would be a part of that transition. And it's a lot, man. It's a lot to kind of wrap your head around. So what I'm saying is, don't start with season 4 of The Expanse.
Jesus Christ.
Season 4 premiered in December. I kind of wanted to savor it a little bit, so I didn't, jump in right away when it came out. I wanted it to kind of just let it sort of live with me for a little while. So over this past week, I've been watching a couple episodes at a time, except for my final day where I binged 4 episodes in a row, and that was a lot of Expanse, I gotta tell you. This is a show where we have belters, and they are sort of a poverty-stricken group of people that are kind of oppressed and used kind of like slaves, and they have their own dialect and their own kind of culture. We have Martians, which is kind of much more militaristic, and they're a lot more strict. And then there are human beings led by Shohreh Aghdashloo, who heads up the UN and has to kind of supervise the wants and needs of humanity on Earth, and also has to kind of caretake for the rest of the humans scattered throughout the solar system. So what we're dealing with in season 4 is that this is kind of after a massive event has taken place, and there is this new gateway to new worlds and new mystery, and humans have dared to enter this gateway, and there is this new kind of new Earth that's called New Terra that they have found, or Illis. So there's a little human outpost on this planet, but it's filled with all kinds of mysterious technology. And the leader of the Rocinante, Captain Jim Holden, played by Stephen Strait, he has this connection to this alien technology, so he is sent on a mission to go and check out the humans and the outpost and to kind of see what's happening on this strange new world. And he gets there, and there is a tremendous amount of weird strife. There's also this military force that has landed, and they're kind of putting a lot of pressure on the people that are kind of mining for resources already on this planet. Now, that's one sliver of the 4 disparate stories that are somewhat connected throughout the season of The Expanse. It's very similar to the way that Star Wars will split up into a bunch of different narratives, or Game of Thrones will split up into a bunch of different narratives. There's some crossover. You'll definitely see some actors on screen together. There's relationships, and that's, they're all kind of tethered together in some ways, but all of these different things are happening at the same time. So it's almost like you're watching 4 shows instead of 1. And I have to tell you, each of these 4 different narrative slivers is so rife with detail, and they're loaded with so many cool characters that they could almost exist as separate shows, which is pretty damn incredible.
I'd say the battle lines have been drawn.
Back on Earth, we've got Shohreh Aghdashloo, who is fighting for her life politically, and she is getting challenged, and some of her choices are being challenged. So there's kind of a much more bigger political intrigue there, but she's also being threatened by potential terrorist attacks, and she's worried about what's going on this new planet that's been discovered, and of course this new alien technology is freaking everybody out, so she's got a lot on her mind, and she expresses herself with a tremendous amount of hostility. Honestly, it grated on me in season 4. This is a part of the character development that we've seen with this character. She's a leader that doesn't mince words, and she swears like a trucker.
Just get to the fucking point.
But it felt like every scene with her, that's what she was doing, and it just started to feel like a little bit monotonous.
Fuck.
That would be my only kind of quibble with season 4 in general. I felt like that political storyline, although very fascinating that she's being challenged, and she's not as tough as she thinks she is, and she's got threats on all sides of her, and even has a kind of a strange relationship with her husband. Interesting, but a bit one note. And it was hard to feel a lot of empathy towards this person.
Who the fuck cares about any of this?
We've also got this Belter storyline going on as well with the OPA, which is this other external force out there. And they are caught up in the intrigue with this terrorist that is wanting to fight for the Belters and blow up installations and kind of rise up against the oppression. So there's that storyline. And there's also a storyline on Mars with a character named Bobby, who gets embroiled in this sort of criminal underbelly and starts working with these gangsters to kind of steal stuff. And it's against everything that she's trained for, because she's this badass military person who has kicked ass in previous seasons of The Expanse. So even just kind of loosely defining what's going on, it's a lot to take in, and I get it. I gave it some time, and that's the one thing that I will say is that don't just watch 2 episodes and then bail.
I'm free right now.
Stay with it for that first season and let these characters kind of soak into you. Because, what we see in season 1 to season 4 is unbelievably different. And that is also a wonderful element of the show, as it should be. This is a show about, exploring and examining and the hostilities between a bunch of different people smeared across a massive landscape, a spacescape. And it's wonderful fiction to mine. It's a dense show. It's a show meant to be, I think, viewed again and again, but it has so many delicious details and such fantastic production values and so many incredible performances. And what's amazing about this show, just like Game of Thrones at its best, is that it can go from an intelligent conversation or a conversation about the science about what is happening here, and then suddenly veer into just catastrophic, unbelievably violent scenarios where people will be shot dead or dropped, mid-sentence. And it's shocking, as it should be, and it's horrific, and it's compelling as hell. And it's all made the more so by all of these really grounded, beautiful performances. You can tell that every single actor on the show loves the work that they're doing and able to be a part of, every single one. And they're having a good time, and they're relishing the complex material that they get to play with. Also, this is a show that leans heavily towards realism. Certainly, artistic license is taken, but you feel like a lot of the principles in the show were founded with some idea around astrophysics and really getting humans to be able to survive in extreme conditions like they have to deal with throughout the series. All of the special effects and visual effects in the show are so beautiful and so well crafted. And you feel, we are really getting spoiled now. We have television shows that look like unbelievably well-crafted feature films. And this season was sort of packaged as a binge-worthy thing with 10 episodes ready to go in December. And it just feels like this massive enterprise. It feels like this massive sci-fi movie that goes on and on and on. And it's incredibly compelling.
Holy shit.
Do I think it's the best of the seasons that I've seen so far? No.
I hope that answers your question.
But it certainly is an excellent one and a terrific extension of this mythology and this storytelling. Season 5 is coming, and everybody's in production on that. I'm just excited as hell that this show exists. This season was great, very compelling, only a couple of quibbles, but I definitely think you should watch it if you haven't already. And if you haven't watched any of The Expanse, what are you doing with your life? You got to watch this show. I'm going to give The Expanse Season 4 a 9 out of 10.